All right. I think first and foremost, I think it's probably thank everybody involved, starting with our personnel staff, our coaching staff, our IT staff, Mike Webb, Mike Perkins, Jason Dean, Mike Potts. Those guys did a hell of a job, with Coach Marrone and myself. Um, our analytics department, Tony Khan, and then obviously our ownership, Shad Khan, for all the support, and our medical staff, our trainers, our player development staff, security staff. I think collectively everybody did a hell of a job, and I think I'm very fortunate and proud to be part of the organization with all of them.
Thanks, Dave. We'll go over to you, Coach.
Yeah, I mean, obviously ditto what Dave just said, so I don't have to, say that, but it was pretty amazing. I mean, now that it's over and you sit back and you start thinking about just really, how big of a process this was and how long it was, and to really go through it without a glitch, and it's pretty amazing. It's something that I know I'll look back on and say, wow, how'd they pull that off? But a lot of people involved, a lot of people dedicated to it. I do got a funny story though, Tad, if you don't mind me saying.
Oh, go ahead, Coach.
So we had some security right outside the house, right? Obviously, so we had the Jacksonville Police Department was outside, in case someone tried to run in and take over the draft room. And I got a couple calls going, "Hey, is everything all right over there? Is everything good between you and your wife? I see a cop car outside." I was like, everything's fine. The draft is going on. We're good.
This is not to use in the media, but the cop's name was Officer Blizzard, which I think is like the coolest name ever.
They were great.
All right, let's jump into questions. We're gonna start off with John Shipley and then go to John Reed.
Hey, this is for both Dave and Doug. How important was it to see Ben Bartch do as well as he did at the Senior Bowl? I know tape is one thing, but how important was it to see him do it against bigger competition?
Well, it was important, and that was one of the key things when we went to the Senior Bowl, and obviously Coach Marrone with his offensive line background, and I generally don't love, as you guys like to point out, the smaller level of comp players, but we got to a point in time in that fourth round where this is a kid with his makeup, his toughness, his competitiveness, his intelligence, where you saw him at the Senior Bowl and you saw him competing against some of the top players in the country and some guys that went in the first round, and he held his own. He did a hell of a job. So that when that happens with these small school guys, and a couple years back, there was a player, interior offensive lineman that Tampa took, same thing. And he's played well, and he's done a really nice job for Tampa. And we kind of feel like this player has a very, very high ceiling and can come in and compete at multiple spots for us along the offensive line.
Okay, I guess me.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm next.
Shipley, if you guys want to take Shipley off mute real quick.
I'm all right. Yeah, he. I hear an echo. Is that right?
No, you're good, Coach. Your audio's good.
Oh, yeah. All right. No, I like it. I agree with what Dave said. I think that, the only thing I look for is, is it kind of too big, when they're at the combine or they're in one of these bowl games and, it wasn't for him. So I think that's important, especially at a time where you can't really go work people out. We didn't have those opportunities. So you look at it on a film, I mean, I have some standards that I look at personally, when we look at it, depending on what conference they're in or who they're going against. But, we took a chance a couple of years ago when I first got in, when I was with New Orleans, on Jari Evans, who's from Boonsburg. I'm not comparing those two players, but, the things I looked for, in Jari when we were looking for that, we looked for in Ben. So, he has those qualities, and we're excited to have him, and he can play multiple positions. And, I'm looking forward to him competing.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it.
Thanks, John.
Thank you, Shipley. We're going to turn it over to John Reed. Go ahead, Jay Reed.
Oh, I'm up there. This is for Dave. Man, you got 7 defensive players in this draft out of the 12 picks. and you look like you got a broad range of players. Did you feel you hit on everything that you wanted to as far as addressing your defensive needs in this draft?
We felt good about filling some needs. You know, there's always a point where you wish you could do more. You're never going to come out of a draft completely satisfied. But this is about as satisfied as we've been with that many picks. And, you know, there's some picks here and there that, you know, maybe we're one or two players away that we would have maybe liked to have. But we feel really good about the players we got and filled some needs. You know, secondary, linebacker, you know, we're going into a season with some really good depth at those positions. And then obviously defensive line. And like we said from the beginning, we really wanted to set up the front seven for success.
Appreciate it. And Doug, what stood out to you about Shaq Quarterman? I mean, he seemed like a kid who just got a lot of energy.
Now. I like him. You know, you put on the tape and you watch him, and he's going around and he's making plays, and you know, guy that really loves football. And you know, I started watching it, and you know, I started thinking about you know, some players that, you know, I've either been involved with on other teams that we've drafted from the University of Miami. And then, you know, you dig a little deeper and you look at a 4-year starter, you look at a guy that has great leadership. I believe he was defensive player of the year in Florida, you know, when he was a high school player. So you know, he's got everything that you're looking for. He's going to have a great opportunity to, you know, compete. And, you know, he's ready. He told me, he said, coach, you know, I'm just telling you now, my cleats are on the grass. I'll do whatever you want me to do. I'm going to play. So, you know, those are the kind of things that, you know, you feel good about. And, you know, now they got to go out and they got to earn it. And like I said, it doesn't really matter where you're picked. I mean, you know, everyone now, when they come in, everyone's got an opportunity. They got to earn the trust of their teammates, coaches, do a good job in the community and go out there and play and perform.
One last question: Do you feel you hit your needs, like I asked Dave? You feel you got a better football team from these 12 picks, and particularly the 7 on defense?
Well, you know, that John, that was the goal. I mean, obviously you want to get yourself in position where you're creating competition and guys can rise up and guys have potential. You know, and every year when you're looking at the draft or you're acquiring players, that's what you're looking to do. Now they got to go out there and win it and earn it. You know, do I feel that we have competition and you know, players that could potentially be good players and good foundation of the organization? Absolutely. So I feel like we've done a very good job of putting that in place, and now they have to go out there and perform like we think they can perform or could perform. And you know, a lot of it now comes on us as coaches. You know, obviously there's qualities that we love in a lot of these players. I think that, you know, they've all been discussed. They've all been discussed of their roles. And, you know, now we as coaches have to do a good job developing these players and getting them in a position where they can help us win football games.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, thanks, John. We're going to go over to Gene and then John Osher. Go ahead, columnist.
Dave, first question is for you. You took Jake Luton in the 6th round. You had 5 chances today to go get Jake Fromm. What is it about that you liked a little bit more about Luton than about Fromm?
Well, with Luton, we liked his size, we liked his release, his arm strength, bigger body. And really liked the way he threw the ball at the PA game, at the All-Star game he was at, and felt like that he's got some upside. You know, he's 6'6", 240 some odd pounds, and moves well in the pocket. So you know, we just felt like with those traits and what he can offer, that he could come in and compete for a spot on this roster.
And for Doug, I don't know if you've ever seen the video at all of Ben Bartch and these protein shakes that he consumed over the last 3 years of his college years. Number one, did you ever, when you were, you know, trying to get big or whatever, trying to maintain whatever, did you ever put together a concoction like that? And would it be possible that we could get you to drink one?
Well, I can tell you this. I never had that problem of gaining weight. The best, I'll tell you, I'm going to tell you a great story here, Gene. The best thing, probably one of the worst and best times of my life is I was with the Miami Dolphins and we were in training camp. And I was one of 4 or 5 guys that had gotten food poisoning. And back then, you weren't allowed to be over 275 pounds for Coach Shula. He's changed later on, but when we were there, everyone had to be 275. So it was brutal now. Now I've drank shakes that like Slim Fast that would, be meal replacements. So I went from like 275 to like 258. And I'll never forget this. As I'm leaving the hospital, the doctor says, listen, we got to put the weight back on you. We've got to get you hydrated, blah, blah, blah. Hey, drink some milkshakes. And as soon as he said, drink some milkshakes, that's all I heard. I went from like 258 within, I bet you 12 hours to 275. I must have had about 5 milkshakes. So I'm trying not to drink a lot of calories. And I promise you, I made a promise to my wife. Starting Monday, I'm going to start working on not being that guy. I would drink it, but there's probably too many calories in that shake for me.
Thanks, Doug.
No problem.
How come you didn't ask me if I ever consumed a smoothie?
Physique says it all. You don't have Doug's big frame.
Hey, this frame is not from drinking those shakes. It's from eating too much.
All right, thanks, guys. We're going to throw it over to John Osher.
He gets a question?
Hey, Dave, you talked a lot last night about patience in the first 4 picks. Was that still the plan today, or did it just fall that way? Or just talk about that a little bit, I guess.
No, it was still we didn't acquire picks to get less players. We acquired picks to get more players, and like I said, we just there were so many players that we liked that at the end of it, we were like, I wish I had a couple more picks in the 7th round. Where normally you're like searching for names, and we felt like there were still guys and still really good value out there. So hopefully we can get some of those guys as free agents here. Good talk, John.
All right. Thanks, Johnny. We're going to throw it over to Demetrius.
Hey, guys. This is for both Dave and Doug. For Josiah Scott, what did you guys kind of see out of him in terms of his traits to transition into the NFL as far as maybe a nickel and then perhaps working on special teams?
Yep. Easy. Excellent toughness, physical, plays bigger than his size. Feel like that he's a natural fit inside, but also feel like that he can take some reps outside. So his makeup, his leadership skills, his football intelligence really was one of the players where, to be quite frank, because he came out early, that I wasn't real familiar with early on in the process, like last summer. But as I started watch the tape, you fall in love with him relatively easily.
Yeah, same here. I mean, it was he's just a ultimate competitor, really tough, plays a lot bigger. I mean, I think that was a key thing when you watch it. And obviously, people will say, hey, listen, this guy goes inside because they're looking at his height, but this guy shows the physicality to be able to play on the outside and do a good job. And then obviously the toughness, equals special teams. So, I think like I told him when I spoke to him on the phone, I said, I like taking, guys from Michigan State. They're tough guys, I said, but the only problem is your position coach is an Ohio State guy. So I'm fired up to see that.
If I could ask another one for Dave, on the quarterbacks in the 6th round, you guys have drafted one in the 6th round the past three years. Do you guys kind of look for scheme adaptability there more so than maybe like an arm strength or things of that nature? Do you guys look for somebody who can just fit into what you guys like to do?
Well, I think the big thing for that is you're taking somebody in the 6th round and is football intelligence and be able to learn to come in and be a backup and to compete for a roster spot first and foremost, to be able to have command of the offense. And then obviously the physical traits in terms of, are they a fit in our offense? And there's multiple conversations we've had of, do you take somebody that's different than your starter? You take somebody that's similar to your starter. And at the end of the day, we just kind of this year decided to pick the guy that throws the best ball, good accuracy, and it's got size and can withstand to take some hits in the pocket.
I appreciate it.
Thanks, Demetrius. We're going to throw it over to Mia, and you are off mute, ready to roll.
Do I look awake, Dave?
You do much fresher today.
Excellent. Good. Cool. First and foremost, I got to find out where y'all got your headphones from, because like this happened this weekend. So I'm going to need a recommendation. I know.
Bose. It's all Bose.
All right, Doug, we're going to start with you. First and foremost, did you know before you drafted him that Tyler Davis is a Mets fan? And number 2, given your undrafted free agent signings, how do you feel about the tight end room at this time? I know you guys said you felt good, but you still went out and drafted somebody.
Yeah, I think you always feel good about where you are from a standpoint of the players that you have, but you always want to create more competition and see if someone can beat somebody out. So I think, when you have the ability and you look at someone and they have all the traits that you're looking for outside of being a Met fan, you're pretty excited. But like I said, he's from the South Shore. Guys that are from Long Island know, the North Shore is the Gold Coast. The South Shore, the guys that are working. And then it was interesting that conversation was interesting. Now I'm going to say something. So I said, I'm from, Throgs Neck in the Bronx. So usually people that live on Long Island, they got to go over either the Throgs Neck Bridge or the Whitestone Bridge. So he's like, "Oh, coach, that's awesome. Hey, then us guys from New York, now we're some mean son of a guns." And you can put in all the other words there. So I was like, all right, pretty cool. All right, we'll see. We'll get a chance to see how mean you are when we get those pads on. But I think that obviously here's a guy that has a great skill set. He was a quarterback coming out of high school. Was at Connecticut. Transferred to Georgia Tech, and I've got a kid that I coached when I was at Georgia Tech. Went back. He's the line coach there. Loves him. A couple other people. Corey Etzel, Randy Etzel's son, was at Connecticut when he was there. Texted, really loved the kid. So, I'm excited. He has a great opportunity in front of him. He has the ability to do it, and we'll see if he's good enough.
I did mention to him I was from New Jersey. He said New York has the better pizza. So I would like to put that on the record.
Hey, I just want to say on the record, I'm going to put this out. The best part of New Jersey
is
the view of New York.
Well, good thing it's in Monmouth County. That's where I'm from. If I could ask one more, Tad, if you wouldn't mind. Oh, we got visitors too. If I could ask one more, Tad, if that's okay. Dave, just curious. Obviously, I know there were rumors circulating about a possible trade with Leonard at the running back position. That obviously did not happen. But at the running back position, you guys didn't address that via the draft. Was that just the way that the chips fell, or did you guys feel that you could go through 12 picks and not select a running back?
Well, we felt like we could, and there comes a point in time too, because of I think maybe it's misunderstood of how we feel about the other guys we have in our room besides Leonard and Rock and Divine, and those are 2 guys that as you look down and you start to get into the 4th, 5th round, you're like, do we like these guys better than Rock and Divine? And the answer was really no. So we felt like we had some guys that could make the team at other positions and come in and help right away. And knowing that we had those 2 guys that we really liked.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Mia. We're going to throw it over to Josh Robbins. You're off mute, ready to roll, Josh.
Thanks. I'd just like to address Doug's comment about Jersey. My mom is from Jersey. But
well, hey, look, it's the truth. I'm not trying to. I'm not saying anything bad. I like New Jersey, but I'm just saying the best part of New Jersey is the view of New York.
Well, okay, so that wasn't the reason why I put myself in the queue, but I had to put that on record. This is for Dave, actually. Dave, obviously you've addressed a lot of needs in the draft. are there areas still on the roster that you feel like still need to be addressed in some way? Maybe the unresolved areas that keep you up at night?
It was funny because when we drafted Lacavia, and I made a comment to a friend of mine, and I'm like, I sleep much better at night knowing that we got some pass rush depth. But there's always work to do, and there's always we're always looking, whether it's in free agency. Our scouts are right now trying to work on deals in college free agency. There will be players that get released tomorrow from other teams because they've signed free agents. So we're always looking to upgrade it. You're never satisfied. And if we were satisfied, you guys should be really upset with us. How's that?
No, I don't feel as strongly about that as about the New Jersey crack. So thank you.
Hey, just for the record, that was a recruiting line that I used to always use when we used to, recruit. So it's not anything that's personal.
All right, thanks, Josh. We're going to go over to Hayes Carline.
Yeah, thank you, gentlemen. Doug, I'll start with you. What kind of a team do you think you've built?
Young, smart, tough. Guys that love football, guys that, everything that we've talked about. Not a lot of other stuff going on that's going to distract them. A bunch of guys that are excited for their opportunity, appreciative, understand that this great opportunity that they have, and they need to take advantage of it. So, like I said before, it's a young team. A lot of young guys are going to be coming into our locker room, and we have a pretty good foundation of young guys right now that are looking to take over and take these guys under their wing. These guys, will be a great part of it. So, I'm excited about that. I really am. I mean, these guys want to go to work. They want to play, and then all the other stuff that's going on the outside shouldn't affect them at all.
And then, Dave, my question for you was, in light of COVID and everything with medicals, and then obviously an emphasis on character, did you guys have more guys off your board this year than you would traditionally have?
No. What it did do is it kind of prohibited us from taking, once we got into the 6th, 7th round, we felt okay with taking some players that may not have been really at the combine or not a medical. You're still taking a risk there, which historically we have not done. Every player we've ever drafted, we've either brought in for a physical or they're at the combine from the medical standpoint. This year, so it was tough. Like, for instance, last year, Quincy Williams wasn't at the combine. We were able to bring him in for a visit. In this climate, I probably would not have taken him as high as I did. He probably would have been more of a 6th, 7th round type of guy. So we just lowered some guys that weren't at the combine, just because of the risk of not having the medical on them.
Great. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Hayes. I know, Gene, you just popped back in. Can you hear us okay? We're going to come to you to ask a question.
This is for Dave. Could you talk a little bit about can come in and give you some juice in the kick return game?
Well, I missed. You said, can you talk about, and then you came.
Can you talk about Clay Brooks? Do you see him as a guy that could maybe give you some juice in the return game?
Well, I hope so, because that's why we drafted him. So that's his number one job, to come in here and be our kick returner first and foremost. Hopefully earn a spot as a corner, and then work on some of the punt return skills. So yeah, that's his forte, and field position is a thing that we thought about a lot in the offseason. And Coach Marrone's a big advocate of special teams and gaining field position and having a guy back there, and he has the skill set to do it, and we feel really good about it.
And as a follow-up, do you feel like Daniel Thomas has the eye, intellect, and discipline to challenge for a starting job at some point?
At some point, I think it's important for these guys to come in, learn the scheme. Obviously it's going to be hard for these guys to challenge right away, because we're probably unlikely not going to have any OTAs. So they're going to have to come into training camp and and go from there. So they'll be a little bit behind, but we like his skill set. We think he's a guy that has starter traits. So the rest of it is really up to him.
Thanks.
All right, thanks, guys. We're going to do our final 3 questions here. We're going to go to John Shipley, Mark Long, and then finish with D-Rock. So we're going to throw it over to John Shipley now.
Finish with
This is for either you, Dave, or Doug. Just what can you say about Collin Johnson and the element that he brings to the offense just with his size and ability to go up and get the football?
Yeah, I think that, when we're looking at him, we're looking at the numbers and we're looking, what he did in 2018. Obviously had a great year. Got a little hampered going, into his last year there, but it's different, really than what we have. I mean, he's the guy that's, you're talking about a guy that's 6'6", 222 pounds. He, can run real well. So, it's just a different element. So now when you look across the board, we got different types, and I think it's always good to have that. And, obviously we're looking for him to come in here, perform, and, he has an opportunity to win a job. He has an opportunity to be a good playmaker, when you look at his catch radius and where he's at. So I was excited that we were able to get him as late as we did.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Shipley. We're going to throw it over to Mark Long.
For Dave first. Dave, have you had a conversation with Leonard's agent telling him to expect to be here in this season, next season?
No.
Okay. And for Doug, when you take 12 choir boys like this, 12 high character
there you go.
Don't disrespect.
High character. What do you want? High character, choir boys, good guys.
Well,
Clean. How about clean?
I try.
How about tough asses?
I don't know them that well, but
Well,
they
then
look.
don't call them choir boy
They
then.
look they look
If you don't know
fine.
them, don't brand them.
Choir boy. There's nothing wrong with choir boys.
I was a choir boy. I went to Catholic high school and grammar school my whole life.
Reminder, this is a press conference, not a bar scene like Coach mentioned earlier.
Fine.
So go ahead, Mark, if you can ask your question.
When you take 12 high character quality choir boys, can it have a pretty immediate effect on the culture that you're trying to build?
Well, I look at it this way. I look at guys and I said this when I in my opening statement, that I think people are going to look at these guys and look at their character, and where I really take a step back and think to myself, why are we knocking people of good character? I mean, why would you knock, or anyone knock a guy, because he's his morals or how he presents himself or anything of that nature? And that's one of the issues and problems that go on. I think that people say, well, look at these guys, you got these high character guys, but you didn't get the talent. I disagree totally with that. I'm excited about a bunch of young guys that have done things the right way, for the most part, not to say they haven't made any mistakes, done everything they could to do things the right way. That's something we should be celebrating. That's something we should be proud of. I think that, I always felt to myself that especially when my first job as a head coach when I was in college, I realized that my job was to win games and bring people in, and I had all the power of taking guys and not taking guys. But there was something that I kept reminding myself, that I have a responsibility of one, who I bring into this locker room, 2, I bring into this university, and 3, I bring into to this community. And I feel the same way. I feel like, hey, who I'm bringing into the locker room, all right, who's going to represent us, with our fans, and who's going to do a great job in this community. So I'm really not comfortable trying to defend, that question. So I think I said it before. These guys are talented. These guys can play. There also happen to be a bunch of great guys. We should be celebrating that.
I wasn't trying to question that. I was actually asking whether the 12 of them could make an immediate effect together like that. That's what I was asking. I'm not trying to put you. I'm actually saying you guys did the right thing, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. I think, I look at guys like, some young guys that have done really well. DJ Chark. I look at Josh Allen. Gardner's in there. Juwan Taylor's in there. I think we brought in guys last year that are like that, and I think when you bring more guys in like that, I think it's going to help. Yes, it's going to help. Now, it's still, you still have to earn the respect in the locker room. It's not something that it's just because you've done all this stuff or whatever you have been, you can go in there and people are going to do that. They're strong-minded men that we feel that are influenced in a proper way, and we want to keep it going that way.
Thank you, Mark. We're going to finish off with D-Rock, and we'll come to you, even though you go away from us for every announcement pick on ESPN. But go ahead, D-Rock.
Dave, how high was quarterback on your priority list coming into the draft? And are you planning on adding a veteran guy in the next several weeks or before camp or anything?
Yeah, so it was something that we felt like we needed to address either through the draft or through bringing a veteran in, or possibly both. We addressed it through the draft tonight. We'll look at all our situations, not just quarterback, but every position. And like we said earlier, we'll just look to see where we can upgrade. If it makes sense, we do it. But but we don't feel like we need to do it at this point in time.
And Doug, with the lack of the offseason program that obviously is going to impact everybody, do you have to adjust in any way your expectations for what you could get out of the rookies in the fall?
No, I think that, the way we have designed their program when they start, I think I feel good about them having the knowledge and knowing, what to do. I believe that, because of the players that we have drafted and their character, that, they're going to do everything they can to make sure that they come in shape. And I think our team knows that. I think that, it doesn't just affect these players. I think it affects everyone. So, we've got to do a good job there. And then, we've got to get them when they come in. We can, see what happens as we go. But I'm excited because of, the way these guys have trained, the way they are right now, all the things that we've heard, they're going to do it. To say that as a coach, you always want to be around. You know what I'm saying? You want to be there for them. You want to, catch them up to your drills and things like that. But, we're going to put things out on the cloud, the drills that we do and try to do the best job we can, in this environment that we're in right now to get them caught up to speed, where we don't feel like it's going to take them a while to fall, to catch up. Because the one thing about training camp is you think you have a lot of time, but you really don't. It goes a whole lot faster than you expect. But I still think you'll be able to say, all right, practice 1, practice 2, practice 3, and you start, charting, the increase and how much better they're getting. And you do that with all your players and see who, can become the most consistent. So, I'm actually excited about it. See how these guys are when they come back in here. Because the one thing it will show is their commitment, and organizational skills about what's going on, improvisation. You don't have everything available to you. You have to keep yourself safe in this environment. So I think there'll be some challenges, and we'll see who's up to it.
And just a real quick follow-up: the plan right now going forward, unless something weird happens, is this is Gardner's team, right?
I mean,
He's
right
the
now,
starter.
right now, if we roll that ball out there, he'd be the first guy behind the center. Yes. Absolutely.
I'm good. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, D-Rock.
Thank you, all you guys too. Great job and all that stuff. Appreciate everything.
Yep.
Thank you. So the offseason program the virtual offseason program will officially begin on Monday, April 27th. Once we have some more information on all that stuff, we'll be in touch about availability and whatnot. Over the next probably 24 hours, I think usually it's a Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon thing when we'll send out the formal undrafted free agent list. So be on the lookout for that at some point tomorrow. If you have any questions, obviously out of all of today's things with the 12 draft picks, just let us know. we appreciate everyone and the adaptability that we were all going through this weekend. So cheers to another draft in the books.